let's be realistic, a lot of people back here at home in Uganda, they still consider modeling to be prostitution.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I'm sure you've had that. I did urban planning. I studied urban planning at uni. But then when I started, venturing into modeling, a lot of people were like, why did you go to school then? Because they still consider modeling to be, they still have that stereotype of, they're call girls, they're call boys. They don't matter that much in society.
Hi guys, welcome to Kenganda. My name is Janita Maya and this is the Read Part Podcast. I'll let our guest right here tell you who he is. Please.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Joram Model and I work as the CEO, Creative Director for JMM. That's one of the leading model agencies that we do have in Africa. Yes.
Lovely. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
This young man is a living legend. I thought I was somebody until I met him. So O'Shea Duke Jackson, don't message me on Instagram.
Okay, that's a nice way. O'Shea, take this one.
So Joram, I saw him when we were on our way to Nigeria last year at the Entebbe airport.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you there taking us to the airport last year?
Rachel is one who took that.
So we're going there and there's this huge guy and he's walking in front of us and they're like, oh my God, that's Joram. He's like the top model scout in Uganda. I was like, this guy is like 6'4" or 5. I don't know at the time, he's a huge guy. Mm-hmm. So anyways, make a long story short, fast forward, and we go to the A. Bryans Awards, which I had a good time last year. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, you're the one that's produced that.
Yes, the fashion show producer.
And every model that gets an international deal, usually you're behind it. It's your model.
Mm-hmm. Yes, most of them.
Can I get some money? I just want to know.
On the low.
We're going to talk after this.
Okay. So we were having a conversation. I saw you at Motive during Creative Fridays. And it was almost like a gospel sermon. You were really into it and telling people about the industry. And I actually paid to come and talk to you. It's a true story. Somebody was talking to him. I bribed some girl. Is it true?
It's very, very, very true.
Yeah, I bribed some girls to go away so I could talk to him about coming onto the podcast. And because man, I just love what you do. You're a very talented man. Mm-hmm. I've seen what you've done in this country, in this industry. And I'm just really a big fan of all that you have done, not only for just Uganda, but for its diaspora and what you're doing for Africa. And so I wanted to talk, because our audience is a very diaspora based. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about how difficult it is for a man like you, that you built this industry, people like you, A. Bryans, but it's so hard to stay consistent in Africa. We were talking about that before this podcast started, and I wanted you to really elaborate. What do you mean when you say it's so hard to stay consistent?
Honestly, I know so many young people out there that are very passionate.
Okay.
And to be realistic, everyone, when they're starting out in whatever field that they're in, be it the creative arts, whatever that they're doing, the first thing that they have usually is passion. Okay. And 24/7, you'll hear a lot of young people say, oh my God, I'm passionate about something. Yeah. I'm passionate about something, I love something. I want to be a model, something like that. Until you start doing it, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road, and you feel like it's not making you any money.
Okay.
So do you have that burning passion, that zeal for you to keep saying, oh my God, I'll just keep going irrespective of what? But so many people back here at home in Uganda, they don't have that. Mm-hmm. That is why you realize that it's very hard to be consistent. Mm-hmm. And then not just being consistent, but then what's the brand value that you stand for? Is it the same? Are they the same values that you have 10 years later, something like that? How do you treat your clientele? How do you treat everyone? All that is consistency. So that when people know, oh my God, Joram is very professional. Are you keeping the professionalism right from the time you started to the time, that you're still going on? So that is what I meant when I said it's very, very, very hard to be consistent. And then also being consistent in an industry where, let's be realistic, a lot of people back here at home in Uganda, they still consider modeling to be prostitution.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I'm sure you've had that. You've absolutely had that whereby, because I remember 10 years ago, 11 years ago when I started in 2012, but then you realize that I did urban planning. I studied urban planning at uni, and I did that simply because the people that were paying my tuition, they wanted me to have a professional career.
Right.
You know, like a professional career of
Yeah.
like, you know, oh
You're
my
in
God.
Makiri, right?
Yeah,
I heard your
exactly.
story before. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. But then when I started, you know, venturing into modeling, a lot of people were like, why did you go to school then? Because they still consider modeling to be, they still have that stereotype of, you know, they're call girls, they're call boys. You know, they don't matter that much in society. That is why 10 years later, I'm so grateful that now the narrative is changing slowly by slowly. So you can imagine that consistency of people throwing all these stones at you, you know, whereby they feel like you're not great, you're not good enough, you're in a business that, you know, a lot of people still have a lot of quotes about. But then that zeal, that power for you to keep going, it's the consistency beat that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And it's 1 in a million for people to have it.
Okay.
Yeah. And speaking of consistency, we're also talking about the money bit because the sponsors themselves are also non-consistent.
True.
In the fashion industry. Could you expound on that?
The fashion industry in Uganda is growing. Like I said earlier on, it is growing. It's a very virgin industry whereby so many companies out there still believe, you know, there's time for it to grow. As opposed, you know, you will notice that so many investors, so many business people, so many sponsors, they would rather put their money in oil and gas, petroleum, engineering, name it all those sectors where they feel like, you know what, this is a sector that is going to make money for the country. You get it? But then when it comes to fashion, a few of them will invest in fashion simply because they believe it's not yet there. It's absolutely not yet there. That is why I've seen campaigns that are going on right now of, you know, Boo Boo, buy Uganda, build Uganda. But very few, you know, I'll say very few business people understand this.
Yeah.
That is why it will be very hard to get a donor from out to say, you know what, I'm coming in to invest $1 million into, you know, your fashion house. Can you mass produce so that we can send to the US, China, or something like that? We're still lacking with that. But I'm very happy that, you know, slowly by slowly, we're getting networks that are coming in to, you know, to invest in fashion. So I would say it's growing slowly by slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are so let me kind of go back to being consistent in Uganda, because for me, it's the same thing that you're saying on a different level. It's not so much the money for me or the sponsorship for me, but it also deals with, I mean, you know, you have infrastructural problems.
True.
And then also, I mean, you're a dynamite professional, right? But that's not everybody here.
True.
So what other things, because when you're doing fashion, there are a lot of various moving parts that need to also help produce a show or produce a project. What are the other mitigating factors to stop your consistency based on others that you need to also be on board?
To be honest, the fashion industry, you need an ecosystem. Because let's be realistic, I could be a very talented show producer, you know? I could have the best models in town. I could have the creative knowledge myself. But then at the end of the day, are other people in the business supporting what I do? That is why that brings me to another important subject that I love discussing the most, which is collaborations. We have failed to come together as an army and collaborate and say, she is great when it comes to saying makeup and hair. And then he is great with the models. You are great with show production. You are great with, you know, the equipment, with the events, and then name it all. How do we come together as a force to make sure that, you know, we all have the same voice? We all, you know, strive for something which is the same. Because I strongly believe that no man is an island. That is why, however much you are super talented, and then you feel like, you know, you have everything that it takes for you to be a star.
Yeah.
You can't do it alone.
Right.
You absolutely can't do it alone, which literally answers your question of how do we bridge that gap to make sure that, you know, all ecosystems work hand in hand. Yeah.
We're also talking about Uganda in comparisons to some of the other places that are on the move. And our next podcast will be about Rwanda, which is up and coming. It's, you know, it's a small country, but as the old saying goes, it's not about the size. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. And Rwanda, as a small place, has a lot more fight than a lot of other people, right?
Sure.
So that's the next episode. But let's talk about what is stopping Uganda. And it's very similar in size to maybe Kenya. You know, it's a bigger country in Africa. But what's keeping this community here from being like South Africa, from being like Nigeria, from being like Ghana? We're on the world stage in Africa. What's stopping Uganda from that?
People have failed to collaborate. That's number one.
Yeah.
Everyone in this business feels like, oh my God, she's my threat. If I work with her, she's going to get more attention, more shine than I do. You get it? So we fail to collaborate like our sisters and brothers in, Nigeria, in South Africa, or even Rwanda, that is really, really up and coming, but taking over the world as much as, possible. So to anyone that is watching this, when you work together as an army, as a force, you move mountains. So that is one. And then number two, there's so much greed among so many creators in this business. Okay. Whereby if I know something, I feel like I am the only one that knows it. I'm not going to share it with anyone. I don't want to be like in the same space with other people, something like that. Whereby people feel like they know so much as opposed to, how about, we all collaborate and, probably do like different masterclasses all together, share ideas, come together as an army and then work, together. And then number three, we don't have very strong unions in this country. Okay. When I say unions, look at, different creatives all together, whereby, if the fashion industry had a union, right? Whereby they know that union is literally going to govern whatever fashion. And then when it comes to music, they also have like a very strong, union. But I like the fact that, when it comes to the music industry in Uganda, I've seen the federation, the one that has all these big artists that are coming together to fight for, the copyrights and then all that.
Yes.
But envision that happening in, the creative spaces, in fashion, in entrepreneurship, in all these other sectors altogether. I strongly believe we'll be very, very far. And then last but not least, honestly, I feel like it's going to come back to the people above. The biggest example I can give is, President Kagame. He has welcomed literally everyone. That is why they even abolished that whole thing of like, you don't need a visa to go to Rwanda.
Yes, true.
You don't need a visa to go to Rwanda. The way he's collaborating with all these top people in the world. I just heard that in 2025, Rwanda will be hosting, the Grammys. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the African versions? And then also Trace just happened in Rwanda. So that comes back to, the government as well to know that let's sell Uganda. Let's market it to the fullest.
Yes.
Let's draw up campaigns whereby it's not just about people living here, but then opening boundaries to people, from all over the world to come in and make sure the country shines.
Yeah. I feel like that was well said. That's beautiful. Now you're behind the scenes a lot. Would you say that's true? You're behind the scenes of the most iconic fashion shows.
Yes.
Models, everything.
Let's play the A. Bryant's Fashion Awards because we put that here and that was you that produced it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the person behind styling the people that you have seen in
Netflix's hit show Young, Famous and African.
You gotta keep your mama away because right about now I am joined by a very handsome guy. Sir, what is your name?
My name is O'Shea Duke Jackson.
All right. What do you do?
I'm a content creator, part-time businessman, but straight from Cali, Sacramento. We here in Uganda supporting the events.
So I'm sure you've seen certain things that a normal person doesn't get to see every day. What are some of the things that you get to experience behind the scenes that an everyday person doesn't experience or see?
A lot happens when it comes to, producing a show. The thing is, when people come for all these big events, all these big shows, all they see is, the lights, cameras, action, red carpet, the makeup, the hair, and then all that. But then there's so much that goes into this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tears. There's a lot of disappointments. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of people telling you you're not great enough. There's a lot of people not believing in the vision. There's so much that happens whereby by the time that show even happens, it is ass shattering ceilings, showing the world that anything is possible, And that's the bit that so many people don't see. Because now we usually do like model castings. And when we do model castings, models from all over the world, models from all over East Africa, they fly in for this to come and then cast. And imagine when they cast, we're only going to take like 60 models. So you can imagine how many hearts have we broken. To just get, that. And then now when it comes to, detailing the whole production right from the stage, lighting and sound with all the partners that we usually work with, Phenon, and then the whole team coming together to make sure that, the asphyrs happen, it is insane. I have mad respect for everyone who's on that team. Like mad respect. Like we see the little things that a lot of people never get to see for us to make sure that the show is like top notch. Yes.
For those people that are in the diaspora, somebody like myself who's from the African American community, or we have Ugandans who are in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, the Netherlands, the United States and Massachusetts, London, and they're looking for a way back to Africa to do some great things like what you're doing. And again, consistency will be a problem for I think anybody, money or not. What are some of the challenges that somebody from the diaspora who doesn't know how the Ugandan industry works, who doesn't know how to do business here, what are some of the challenges you feel like they are going to have, and how would you feel like they can overcome those things?
The biggest challenge that they're going to face is they have to understand how the business works here. Because let's be realistic. I know so many people that are based in New York, in Paris, in London, name it all, in the United States as well. But then when you look at how business works in the US, it's totally different with how it works here in Uganda.
Okay.
The policies are totally different.
Yeah.
The way, when it comes, everything is totally different.
Okay.
Insanely different. So when you come back here at home, you have the same mentality of people are fast. People are ABCD until you come here back at home and then you realize, OMG, like people are very slow. You get it? Like the way they perceive everything is like really slow. You get it? And however tiny an idea can be, because I know so many people from the diaspora that have really tiny ideas and make a lot of money. You bring that tiny idea here back at home, people are going to like bash it. You get it? They will never understand it. They will never understand your vision or something like that. So it comes back to the mindset as well. Like, if you're going to start business here in Uganda and then you are in the diaspora, your mindset has to be totally different. You have to put yourself on the level of what this country is looking for and then make people better, as opposed to just come in and, feel like I do have my money, let me just dictate and do this type of business, something like that. So that is number one. And then number two, the right teams as well. Absolutely the right teams, because it's very, very hard building a team. Because when you're building a team, you want people that have the same vision, the same, they think the same way you think, and they must be passionate. They must love whatever they're doing. That is why a lot of businesses do fail here, simply because people feel like, they have so much money, they'll fly in from wherever they're flying in, build like a very big team, pay them whatever money that they're paying them. But then at the end of it, do they have the same passion? Do they believe in the same values? Do they believe in the same goals? You get it? Whereby if they don't, trust me, 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road, it doesn't work out. You get it? And then another one I would say is commitment as well. It's so hard to find people that are committed here. Like very, very, very hard. People here are all about money. Like if there's no cash, I'm sorry, it's not going to work out.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
Like bye. That is why you'll notice that if you're running a business, you're based in the diaspora and you don't live here, the chances of it thriving are very minimal, like super minimal. Though I've seen people that, try it and then it works. Then another thing is creating systems as well. Because if you're not living here and then you're based the other side and then you're doing business here, you need great systems, absolutely great systems for you to know that if I am not on ground, how is my business, running? How are my books running? Do I have, people understanding the visions that I have and then all that? So it's a lot of things that they have to, think about at the end of the day. But then anything is very possible, because one thing I like about Uganda, about this country, is it's very virgin. You get it? Like super virgin. Any business can thrive here, provided you work on most of those things. Yeah.
Let me just ask you, because I know you've been Paris, you have models there.
Yes.
New York City. You've changed a lot of lives. So I think we were talking about this maybe to a certain degree, but when you went to New York City and those big fashion markets, and you saw how things work there, what did you think about returning back here?
Now let me tell you my story when I went to New York the very first time.
Story time music!
The very first time I go to New York City, I arrive at JFK and then I took off my shoes.
What?
I was on the plane and then I took off, because I used to fantasize about New York so much. As in I used to tell God that when I go to New York City, I'm done with life. Like, it's heaven.
It's over.
I've made it. It's over.
Yeah.
It was one of those top destinations in the world that I really wanted, to visit. So I arrive at JFK, I take off my shoes. And then when I took off my shoes, I walked off the plane, and then I kept telling myself, God, this is what I started manifesting. I was like, God, this is my promised land. Like you told the children of Israel, this is my promised land. I am going to walk here. This is where my models are going to be based. This is where we're going to make a lot of this. I kept saying all these things. I went through immigration with my shoes in my hands. And all the officers kept asking me, are you okay? Are you fine? And I kept telling them, I am okay. I am fine. But then deep down, I was like, no, I am prophesying. Like I am stepping on the promised land, something like that.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, getting a chance to attend some of the shows, because usually when they do New York Fashion Week, it's a bunch of so many shows. So watching these people take fashion seriously, it is a business in a way that even if you're backstage and someone is serving coffee, they serve the coffee in style. Like everything is like fast, right? From the runners, the production, the ABCD. I was just like, wow.
You're amazed.
Wow. Like I was super amazed. And then I started comparing the industry, the other side, and then back at home, and I'm like, was I born in the wrong country? But then I realized that, it was a learning experience for me. So I told myself, I'm not going to go there and refuse to come back home. That is, at some point I had the feeling of like, why don't I just stay here? Why don't I just stay here? But then at the back of my mind, I told myself, let me get all this knowledge that I've learned here, right from show production, model casting, running an agency, get everything that I've learned, bring it back at home. And that's exactly what I did. But to be realistic, the business, the other side, it's a business.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. Fashion is a business. It's like a multi-million dollars business. And then back here at home, it's still little baby steps. And you have to understand, these people have been doing it for like years and years and years. And back here at home, we're just getting into the system. That is why I keep saying, little baby steps. Absolutely baby steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
You made a statement that said most people think modeling is prostitution in Uganda. Let's expound on that.
Yeah.
Because it's my first time hearing it. What I do know about what most Ugandans think about modeling is they don't take it serious.
Yeah.
They
don't,
think you are wasting your time.
Absolutely. But that's a kind way of them not telling you what they think.
Okay.
Because you're like, sometimes they just be like, when you tell someone, I am a fashion model, they look at you like, you get it. Like they have those connotations of like, oh wow, you get it. But then I've had incidences whereby even people from my own family, you get it. Whereby sometimes they're like, oh, Atunda, bawala.
Yeah, Tunda.
Like you get it, something like
you're
when you say exactly when you say modeling, everyone is like, oh, fashion models, the ones that are always naked, the ones that don't wear clothes or something like that. So it took me so much time to sensitize people, to do a lot of masterclasses, to let people know that this is a business, it's a career, it is life changing. So the only way that is changing in Uganda is by showing people how professional this business is. That is why, through the agency that we have, JMM, we do a lot of master classes because it comes back to, changing the mindset. I'll keep changing the mindset because it all starts with the mind. The same way people believe, when I go to school, I'm going to be a lawyer, a doctor, a professor, an engineer. It's the same thing like being a fashion model. You get it. So the connotation that people still have of like, it's prostitution, it's absolutely changing. It's really, really changing because before even the parents would never let their kids get into modeling. But at least now we do have parents that come in, kids are like 10 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old, and they say, you know what? My child has a talent. They want to be a model, something like that. But I think the reason as to why a lot of people thought it was prostitution, it is, not everyone in this business is professional. Let's be realistic.
Okay.
Not everyone is professional. You will find that there's still people out there that literally sexualize everything, that still look at, girls as, sex symbols or something like that. So honestly, some people still believe it is like that as opposed to other people that understand that it's a business. Yeah.
What? So it's now becoming a business in Uganda.
It is. I would say it's becoming a business.
Who are the biggest people contributing to the
that
economy of fashion?
To the fashion industry in Uganda, I would say the designers have done a very good job. Okay. So because I'm not going to wake up and say, oh my God, Joram Model Management, we've done all the work or something like that. It's an ecosystem. Because for models to work, you need stylists, you need makeup artists, you need designers, you need show producers, you need events, it's an ecosystem. Everyone works together. So I would say the industry has supported each other at some point. It has grown. That is why you'll notice that events people are making a lot of money. How? Because they have to do music videos. And when you're doing music videos, when you're doing ABCD, you need models. You need stylists. You need makeup.
I get it now.
You need hair. You need, so the entire ecosystem has tried to like make money. Let's be realistic. That is why so many people are makeup artists right now and they make a lot of money. Like a lot. I know so many makeup artists in this country that thrive with makeup. And then when it comes to hair, I know so many people that are making a living out of, hair. And then when it comes to, styling, designers, even the fashion models. So the entire ecosystem is really growing.
I understand now. Yeah. Even you, to be honest, for the Pan-African Dating Show, we've used a model agency before.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So we would go to an agency and get some girls for that
Very,
day.
very, very true. Like, to be honest, I feel like nowadays in the entertainment industry, whether you like it or not, at some point you have to book a model.
You have to.
I mean, look at television as well. Look at acting. Look at all these movies. When they're casting nowadays, they'll say, oh, do you have any pretty girls that can speak? Do you have any pretty girls that can act? Do you have... So everything is rotating around modeling. Like modeling is not just, walk the runway, take pictures. It's more than that. Because I've seen, usually we get jobs whereby TVs come to us, right? And they say, oh, do you have any, something like that? They want TV presenters, casting directors that are casting for movies, that are casting for series, airlines as well. So I feel like it's a whole ecosystem.
I understand.
Yeah.
What you were saying also before we started was because of the inconsistencies of people in the industry, you'll find out that you have, and I, even on our dating show, we've seen girls, I'm an actress, I'm a makeup artist, I'm a designer.
They're doing everything.
Well, what else do they say? I forget, like
makeup
I'm a
artist,
model.
designer, model.
Oh, you know how many women in Uganda or Kenya
That are doing all that.
even on the Instagram, I'm actress, model,
They're
designer,
versatile.
dancer.
They're versatile. But I believe what usually causes that in Uganda, to be honest, in Uganda, you can't just thrive on modeling alone. That I can boldly tell the whole world. You can't just say, I am a fashion model and I am making a lot of money. Like that's my just only career. It doesn't work like that. You get it. So if you're a model and you want to make money in this business in Uganda, literally you have to be very versatile. What else do you bring to the table? Can you speak? If you can speak, then people are going to hire you for emceeing. You get it. If you can speak, then chances are you're going to end up on television. You're going to end up on radio. You are going to end up as an actress, That is why you'll notice some of them end up, learning different skills as well. They're makeup artists, they're hairstylists, and then, they're actors, they're actresses, they're into television, they're into film. And it's very good to be, versatile so that you can book so many jobs altogether, as opposed to someone who's working in, New York, in Paris, in London, and then in Milan, because then their modeling it's a business.
Yeah.
Like you are working, you're booked nonstop as a fashion model. But then here in Uganda, it's going to take you like a whole month to book a job. So what happens when you're not working the other days?
Yeah, you need to I get it.
Yeah.
You have any more questions?
Not really. We have someone on the team who wants to be a model, so
We
I
do.
know she's
We
dying.
should audition him or her.
Yeah, it's a her. I know she's wishing she was here, but shout out.
Is it cool, honey?
Yeah, she takes modeling classes too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, Lincoln, right?
Yeah, with Lincoln.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah,
Okay.
it's great
We
that you've
should see
come.
her.
But tell the people where they can find you if they want to reach out to you, anything like that.
If they want to reach out to us, we do have physical offices. They are located at Tirupati Mazima Mall. That's in Kabalagala.
Yeah.
Right, Kabalagala. And we're on the 3rd floor, suite 253. Kabalagala, Tirupati Mazima Mall, suite 253 on the 3rd floor. That's JMM. And if you can't go there physically, we also do have a website. That's www.jorammodelmanagement.com. And then on all our socials, that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Joram Model Management.
Yeah. And he has a lot of followers on Instagram, his personal ones, like 120,000. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
I was jealous, man. Like,
But I've been doing this for long.
yeah, I
11
see.
years.
11 years.
Wow.
I've been doing this for a very long
O'Shea,
time.
where can they find you?
No, don't message me.
Joram, thank you so much for
don't message
coming
me.
here. Guys, if you want to send us anything, you can send us an email at teamkenganda@gmail.com and follow us on all our social media pages at Kenganda Nation. We'll see you guys next time.